Hello guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. In this tutorial, in this beginner-friendly video, we'll dive into this fascinating world of data analysis using Excel. Whether you're a student, a professional, or simply curious about harnessing the power of data, this tutorial is designed to equip you with the essential skills you need to get started. So join us as we break down the complex concepts into simple, actionable steps, guiding you through the process of importing data, organizing data, doing data modeling, using Power Query, and all of the useful features in Excel to be able to generate a business report and to do data analysis in Excel. So through this tutorial, we'll explore the various fundamental techniques, including sorting and filtering data, creating formulas using DAX, okay? So generating different charts, working with pivot tables, using all that to generate different information that we're going to use to create a report that I'm going to show you just in a second. So by end of the tutorial, you should have a solid foundation into data analysis using Excel. You can be able to import data, analyze the data, generate different insights from the data. So don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already subscribed, and hit the notification bell in case so that you don't miss any updates as I upload the videos in this series. So let me just show you an example of the report that we're going to be generating. So let me just go ahead and show you the example right here. So we're going to use Excel to generate a report like this. Okay, so you're going to be using the classic models data set. So it is an open MySQL data source on the web. So I'm just going to take it, and then finally I'll show you how to visualize it, import the data into Excel, and do all the fascinating stuff. Okay, so you're going to, at the end of the day, to be able to generate a report like this. Okay, so this simple report like this using Excel. So we're going to learn different things such as Power Query, what is DAX. Okay, you have to know all these concepts. Okay, so all you need to do is to have Microsoft installed. The rest will be taken care of. So don't worry about all this. We'll cover all of this, and you'll be able to generate a report like this. Okay, so you can practice. This is going to be a good portfolio project in case you are trying to apply for a data analyst role using Excel. This can be a good add-on to your resume. So let's get started with this. I'm just going to go ahead and close this, and then finally let's look at where we can get the data. So okay, so now that you have the intro out of the way, let's jump into the process of beginning to analyze our data. So you might come across this saying that says data speaks the truth, right? Data never lies. Data is always telling the truth. There's a quote that goes by this way: the truth is that every business answer that you are looking for is out there, covered and surrounded by many layers of unnecessary data. So if you're able to remove the unnecessary data and get the data that you want, it will be able to answer most of your business questions, and this can give you a big advantage in your business or your data analysis career. So basically, data is out there, and data is just covered with a ton of useless information that you probably do not need in your whatever you're trying to do. So trying to remove the useless and unwanted information can lead you to the rightful information that can help you generate business insights to answer the questions that you already have about your business. So that's really one of the most powers about data. So things we'll go over in this case, we'll learn throughout this whole series. We'll learn about how to import data into Excel. We'll learn about Power Query in Excel. We'll learn about pivot tables, generating reports. Basically, it's just a project-based learning. So everything that we'll be doing will be aimed at generating this report. Okay, so we're going to generate this report, and through the whole process, we'll learn different techniques as we go along the way. So generating the reports and formatting the reports to look exactly like this. Okay, so this is what we're going to cover in this whole series. Okay, so this will give you a solid foundation on whenever you're trying to do anything in Excel or analyze data in Excel. Okay, so we're going to which data set are we going to be using? You're going to be using a data set called the classic models data set. So this is a data set, just open source. I mentioned earlier on, this data set is open source, and you can find the information about the data set and begin to be able to use it. Okay, so I'm going to provide you, if you guys want to get actually the SQL data into your SQL database and then export as a CSV file, that will also work. But I've already done that for you. I've already got the data into my SQL database, and then finally I export as a CSV file. So once I export it as a CSV file, I'm going to share that file with you. The link to that file is going to be in the description of this video. So there are many 8 tables in this data set, but basically we're going to be using 5 of these tables because we're not interested in the employees table and also the offices table. We're interested in the other tables. Okay, so we're going to be just using 6 out of the 8 tables that are provided in the classic models data set. Okay, so what's the classic models data set? So the scheme is for classic models. Okay, a retail of scale models of classic vehicles, classic cars, right? The database contains typical business data such as customers, the orders, the order details, the product lines, and stuff like that. Okay, so we'll look at all that and we'll be able to generate different insights from this data and be able to generate a report like this. Okay, So once we have that, I talk about how to download the data. Again, these are the credentials if you want to access the data into your MySQL database. These are the credentials: the host name, the port name, the username, the password, and then from there you can export the data as a CSV file or Excel file, and then finally be able to perform different analysis on it. Okay, so yeah, so once we have that done, we can go ahead and talk about again, the link to this data set is going to be in the description of the video. Okay, in case I've already got the data and export into a CSV file for you. So if you don't have MySQL, don't have to worry. You can just find the CSV files and then import them into Excel, as I'll show you just in a second. Okay, so once we have that out of the way, now let's look at the methodology we're going to be using. So the first thing we'll talk about is data cleaning. So we're going to load the data, you're going to do some data cleaning, and then you're going to do some data modeling, and then feature engineering, and so much more as you go throughout the course. So what is data feature engineering, data modeling, and all this? Okay, so feature engineering is just generating new information using existing information that you already have. That's basically it. Data modeling is just like having how you arrange your different tables into different schemes, like the star schema, the snowflake schema, and all that. Don't worry, we don't have to know all this. We'll learn as we go along. Okay, so once we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and begin to import the data and load the data into our Excel file. Okay, again, you can get the data from the link in the description of the video. So I'm just going to go in here and let me just go back in here and just search for Excel. Okay, so I'm going to open my Excel. Okay, so I'm not going to go into how to download Excel and set up Excel. In this case, you guys, I hope you probably have Excel or you know how to get Excel. So I have Excel and I'm using my student account, okay, right here. So I'm going to be using my student account for this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and simply create a new file. I'm going to create a blank workbook. Okay, so I have this blank workbook right there. So let me just say I'm going to turn on my auto save so that this is saved onto my drive. So I'm going to call it classic models tutorial. Okay, so let me just I'll keep the naming convention, right? I'm going to be using camel casing, so just like that, and I'm going to press OK. Okay, so once I have this, it's going to take some time to create for me that workbook, and then once you have, I'm ready to go. So I'm going to go ahead and actually import my data. So how do you import the data? Again, you can get the data from the link in the description of the video. So to get the data, I'm going to go into the data tab right here. Okay, so if your Excel tab doesn't look like mine, don't worry, but you obviously have the data tab. Okay, you might not have some of this, and as we go through the tutorial, I'll show you how to add all of this. So don't worry, you just go to the data tab, which you have by default. So go to the data tab, go to get data, go to from file, and then finally save from folder. Okay, so I'm going to keep, if you download all the files from the source I'm going to share with you, make sure you keep it in your folder. Okay, so I'm just going to go in here. So you can see I have a data set called, I have a folder called data sets that has all my Excel files that I need. So I'm going to simply go ahead and simply say OK. So once I press on OK, I'm just going to go ahead and simply say transform. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click on transform. And once it's going to take me to this window right here. You can see this window is called Power Query Editor, and this is what Power Query is. Okay, so if you don't know what Power Query is, don't worry, it's more like if you ever use Power BI, it's very similar to Power BI, like kind of like cleaning data in Power BI. It's just the same thing, but now they have added to Excel to give it more functionality. Okay, so once we have this created, what I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate this. So select this one and then say, not duplicate it, we want to create a reference to it. So that there's a difference between creating a duplicate and a reference. So the reference is just referencing to this. Okay, but a duplicate is a separate data set on its own in memory, so that's not memory efficient. So let's create a reference to this one. Okay, so let's create a reference, and that's all. So I'm going to change this reference to, I'm going to call it customers, and I'll show you why I'm calling it customers just in a moment. So I call it customers. The reason I'm calling it customers because the first data set that we have is a CSV file called customers. So click on binary, and it's going to go ahead and show you all the customer records. Okay, so good. So now we have the data for the different customers. Now go back in here again, create another reference. Okay, so create another reference, and then this reference you're going to call it order details. So I'm just going to go ahead and say order details, just like that. And in here, just click on binary to show the data right there, and then just repeat the same step again to create a reference, not a duplicate. And then finally, you're going to call this one orders. Orders. So I'm just remove my cursor out of the way, and then orders. Click on binary to get the data itself, and then just repeat the same thing for all the remaining tables. Okay, so this is going to be payments. Okay, payment.csv. So we're going to be payments. Okay, so payments, and press enter, and then go into payments, click on binary right here to show the payments information. Click on this, click on reference, and then go on this will be called product line. Okay, product line. So you say product, let me just product line. So I'm using camel name convention. Okay, so let's stick with the camel naming convention and just simply say binary, and then we're going to create one more last one, which is going to be a reference, and it's going to be referencing to products. So say products. Okay, so once we have that, let's count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have everything, and you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So we have everything that we need, right? Good. So once we have all that we need, we're ready to go. So you can see we have the information right here, and you have loaded all the data. So what do we need to do right now in Power Query? So you can also load this data from actually your Excel, your MySQL database straight into Power Query, and then finally you can use it within your Excel to generate different reports. So you can actually connect to a real database, okay, a live database. But I'm just showing this using a CSV file for now, because maybe some of you don't have MySQL Workbench or MySQL installed on a computer, so it might act as a roadblock, right? So I'm just keeping everything simple for now. In the future videos, if you guys find this video useful, and let me know in the comment section how you find this video useful, I might make future videos showing how to connect to a real database and actually pull the records from the data from there. Okay, so I can show you all this, don't worry about it. Okay, so once we have all this done, we can go to go. So you can see we have this field right, which is giving us valid, error, empty. So what does all this mean? Okay, so we have two things that you have to know of in Power Query. The first one being distinct and unique. So what does distinct mean and what does unique mean? Because if you think about it from an English point of perspective, they actually maybe like kind of the same things, right? Distinct and unique, kind of like synonyms or something like that, right? Okay, so but in Power Query, sorry, they have different naming they have different meanings. What does distinct mean and what does unique mean? So to do this, and just go back the slide and let me explain this to you. So in Power BI, or basically this one is Power Query, right? Distinct means the total number of different values regardless of how many times it appears, right? As long as the thing is unique, it's gonna be distinct, right? Sorry, not unique, but basically the number of different values regardless of how many times they appear. For example, if you have 3 names, right? Let's say Janet, John, and Helen. Janet, John, and Helen, right? So Janet appears 3 times, and John appears 4 times, and Helen appears one time. They are all distinct. They are all distinct names, right? We have 3 distinct names, no matter how many times they are repeated, right? So they're just 3 distinct names. And then you have what if you're talking about unique? In this case, unique values indicate how many values occur only once and are distinct, right? So it's distinct and occurs only once. So let's say that in the list of names that I mentioned, we add also Thomas, right? And Thomas appears only once. Thomas will be unique, right? Because it appears only one and it's also a distinct name, right? So if the distinct equals to the number of unique, then there are no duplicates in the data set. But if distinct is not unique, then there are duplicates in the data set. So that's one of the ways you can think of it. Okay, so you can actually just pause the video, try to pen and paper, take some names, write it down, duplicate some, and then think about it, and then see how you can what distinct and unique means, and how when distinct is equals to unique means that there are no duplicates in the data. Again, I'm not going to go into depth about that, but basically that's it on a surface level, and there's not much more you need to know about distinct and unique after all. So that's basically it. If they're not the same, then they're probably duplicates. Okay, so you can see right here you can see 180 distinct and 98 unique. So they're probably 10, right? 10 different values that are repeating themselves. So those are not unique. So in this case, you have duplicate values, right? And you can confirm that if you want. So if you click right here, go on remove duplicates right here. If you remove duplicates, you can see that now they're the same, right? Because the duplicates have been removed, right? So I don't want duplicates removed, so I can just go on the side panel right here. You can see query settings. You can go right here, you can see remove duplicates. So it shows every step that you do. It shows it shows a description of each step that you've done. So I don't want the duplicates, so I can just click on this to remove the duplicate. So now it's back to 108 to 98. So this portion is very, very important, and it shows the different steps that you have done, including your data and stuff like that. So you can go back to any of them in case you need to. Okay, so if I go back here, you can see, you can even go back here, just like that. So you can see all the different sources that we have. So you can even see the source right here. But now we want this right here, right? Okay, so good. That's basically what this panel is for. Applied steps just shows the different steps that you have applied. So now that you have looked at that, you have looked at the difference between distinct and unique. We are good to go. So once we have that done, what I basically want to do is first of all, I want to go ahead and remove. We have already seen the difference between unique and distinct, right? So you're okay with that. So in this case, there is one which is duplicating, right? One of them is duplicating. It's repeating a couple of times. Okay, so there probably one customer which having his or her phone number being repeated. That's why 101 is distinct, but 201, 120 is unique. So 121 is distinct, but 120 is unique, meaning that there is one value that is repeated more than once. Okay, that's basically what that means. Okay, so once we have that done, we are good to go. So what I want to go ahead and do here is you can just expect the data to find if you have any value missing. Okay, so you can see already off the bat you have missing values in our address column, right? So let's actually just go ahead and inspect all the columns to make sure every column is fine, right? The column names are fine. So I mean column names, I mean the names up here, right? City, state, postal code, address 1, address 2. So you can see all that are fine, and now we have missing null value in here. Okay, so let's begin to do some data cleaning to this. Okay, so if you look at each of these column names, next to it you have this right here. So you can see this 1, 2, 3, right? This right here. So I can just go ahead and click on it. What it simply shows, it shows you the data type of that specific column. So I want the customer number to just be text. So I'm going to continue to text, and I'm going to say replace current. And you can see now it's all having changed to text, and it is right here text now. So good. Even this one right here is already text. So text, we're good to go. And this one right here is already text, and let's inspect all the other ones. We have this one here, phone number, we can leave it as text. Addresses, we can leave it as text. Okay, so good, and text. Okay, these are going to be numbers, so let's change that to be numbers. So these are going to be let's say whole numbers, so whole numbers, and then replace that. Okay, so these are whole numbers, and these are also whole numbers. So you can actually just say that decimal numbers instead if you want. You can say decimal number if you want to, because monetary value is best being decimal number. But this one, the customer number is just gonna be a number. Basically, just employee number. Okay, so good, you are good to go. So credit limit is gonna be an employee because it's a monetary value, right? You can have $1.25. So that's a decimal value, not a whole number. That's why I kept this one as decimal. Or you can even keep it as currency if you want to. Yeah, you can also keep it as currency. Okay, good. So what I want to do now, you can see I have some missing values in here. They are called null. So I don't want these null values. What I can simply do is, for address, it doesn't really affect our value, right? So I just want to replace null with not available. Okay, so I just go ahead and click here and just say replace value. So just click on here and then right click and then click on select replace values, and then you want to replace null. So sorry, here you want to replace null, so type dot null, or because it's just right now, okay, all uppercase, and then replace it with not available. Okay, just like that, and just simply click on okay. So you can see all the null values have been replaced with not available. So do this for all the other columns. So I'm just going to select all the other columns. So I'm just going to this and then press Control key and then select all the other tabs. Okay, let me just select all of them. I'm going to replace everything that is now with not available. Okay, so just click it like that and scroll this way. Okay, so do this, right click again and then go ahead and click replace values. Let me just say replace values. So we're going to replace the null value, okay, uppercase with not available. Okay, so press enter, and that's done replacing for us all the values. So in here you can actually rename these different steps that you have. So just go ahead and simply say property, right click and say property, replace value. So we're going to replace now values. Okay, so you can even give you a description. We replaced now, let me just give it uppercase, now values with not available. Okay, so that's basically, so let me just fix that typo right there. So replace now value is not available. So if anyone is working with this, can easily just click on it and then be able to see the description and what basically you did on that step. So you can document everything you do just simply by using the applied steps. Okay, and that's a good practice to do if you're working as a data analyst, because if you leave the project or the work for anyone who comes, they can easily just go and see what you have done, right? So we are done with the customer information cleaning. Now let's go to the customer details cleaning. So in the customer details, we have you also in here you also have some duplicate values as well. Okay, so I will look at this data, and you have some duplicates as well. So even by looking at this, you can see we have duplicates already. These are not the same values, so they are duplicates. Okay, so how do you go ahead and do that? Okay, how do you go ahead and clean that data? Okay, in this case, first of all, let's start by here. Let's change the text, the type to text data. That's good, and then say replace current. Okay, so once I have that done, we're going to select all columns and just apply. So control and then click on the column, select all the columns. So I actually mistyped that, so control and then select all the available columns. Once you do that, go ahead and click on one of the columns, right click on it, and then simply say replace values, and you're going to replace now with not available. So not available, just like that, and press OK. Okay, so that's has replaced the values. And then now go into the orders table, and then simply this one I want to change also to text, so change it to text, and then simply say replace current. Okay, so once we have this done, we are good to go. So if I scroll all the way here, let's see if you have any null value, and yeah, we have a ton of null values in here. So we have a ton of null values in here. Basically, I don't actually need the comment section, because for my analysis I don't need the comment section. What I'm going to simply do is just get rid of this column. So right click on the column, left click, and then simply do a right click again, and then click on remove, because I don't need the comments in my analysis, so I just get rid of it. Okay, so let me see if I have any null values right here. Shift, yeah, that's basically it. So then scroll down here, and just simply we can click on it just to remove any null value in case they exist. I've already looked at it and I didn't find any null value actually, so I'm just gonna do this for the sake of it. So just click on it and say null, and then say not available, so not available. Okay, and press OK. Okay, so any null value in there should be replaced now with not available. Okay, so good, we are good to go. So you can also just document this again. So just say okay, let's go search from here. We say we remove, you can go to properties, remove column. So which columns do we remove? We call it comment column. This is a column and not columns. Okay, so yeah, basically removed comment column, not needed, right? You don't actually need it, so sorry, not needed, just like that, and press OK. And you can also go in here, you can also just replace this with simply replace the value. So replace null values. Okay, and just say replaced null values with not available. Okay, so again, let me just copy this because we're using other section as well. So press OK there. So good, once we have that, you can go into payments. Let's now that we have familiar with the gist of it, so let's go change this to be text. Okay, so because there's a number, and you can go ahead and repeat the same thing. So control, select the other columns, and just simply say replace any null values in here. I'm going to replace null with not available. Not available. Press enter there, and then in here I can go in here and simply click on right click properties, and then simply say paste this right here, and this will say this will be now values. Okay, let's press OK right there. So go in here again, the descriptions, the commenting here is not necessary, you can decide to skip if you want. Okay, so once you reach in here, you can find things are wrong, right? So the first thing is the columns are not in the right order. If you look in here, all the other ones, the comments are in the right order. Here we just have column 1, column 2, column 3. These are auto generated by Power Query. Now we don't want that in our database, we want the actual column. So just go into transform, and then go ahead, use first column. So use first column as header, and press enter. So now you can see now we have the right column. So these errors occur sometimes whenever you import your data. So that's how to fix it. Just go into transform, go into use first row as header, and just right click on it to the drop down, and just click on use first row as header. Okay, so let me just undo that. So let me just undo that. Okay, so undo that again. Okay, that's what I want. That's one of the powers of Power, one of the advantages of Power BI. You can easily just go back and the steps. Okay, so you can actually just change this, rename this to be let's see, we can actually go to properties and then say changed column names, right? Column names. I'm not going to give you a description, so that's fine. And so once I don't need this HTML and the image column, so I'm just gonna go ahead and select this one, and then control, and then click on this one as well, and then right click, and then simply say remove. So I remove those columns. I even don't need the text description column, but you can leave it just for the sake of it. If you want, you can go ahead and delete it, but for now just leave it in here. But don't delete this. We need this one information right there. Okay, now let's go into the product column, and the product column, let's check again the titles. Okay, the product column, actually I didn't actually click on binary, so click on binary to open that. So you can see we have the different column names are intact. So let's look at the data right here. Okay, it seems to have some issue right here. You can see these columns are a bit mismatched. Okay, so it looks like the column shifted by 3 columns to the right. So let's go ahead and actually fix it. So this value right here, hood opens, this value right here supposed to be this value right here, and this value is supposed to be this value, and this value is supposed to be this one. So let's go ahead and fix that error. So I'm just going to go ahead and simply copy this, and just click on this, and then go ahead and say replace value, and then replace it what I have copied, then press OK. And then we go back in here, select this one, copy it, go in here, click on this, replace the value, and paste what I have copied, press OK. And then finally we go in here. I'm going to go ahead and select this one, copy it, go in here, and you're going to replace this one with what you have just copied, because this one has been shifted to this way. So just go ahead and simply say replace value, and then paste in the value that you have copied, and press OK. So we do that for all the other ones where the values are mistaken. So let's go ahead and apply it to the other ones as well. So in here, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this one, go in here, replace values, replace it with this one, press OK. And then we were somewhere here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and copy this one, go in here, and then say replace value. I'm going to go ahead and replace it in here. So this can be a bit monotonous, but if you're going to say data scientist, this or data analyst, you have to be cleaning your data a lot, because most of the time data can be really messy. So I'm glad this errors happen, because it gives you guys basically like an introduction to the field properly. Okay, so once we have that done, I'm just going to go ahead and it also looks like this one shifted, so I'm also going to go ahead and copy this one, go in here, and then replace the value, and then replace it with this one. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. And then so we go in here, let's see, in here rather. So this one, copy it, go in here, and then say replace value, replace it with this one, press OK, and then scroll down again, scroll all the way down. We have another one right here, so we're going to replace this one with this value right here. So copy this, click on this, replace value, and then replace it right here, and press OK. Okay, so we scroll down to find any place that has an issue, and we try to fix it. So again here, this one, all of them 3 have been shifted. I don't know why this occurs sometimes, but it does. Okay, so let's copy this one right here, and then we go all the way this way, and then say replace it with the one that we just copied. So replace it there. Okay, so scroll all the way down here. Sometimes it can be really tedious to do, so go all the way here, and then you're going to copy this one, scroll all the way back here, select this one, replace value, and replace the value with this one right here, and then press OK, and scroll all the way down, scroll down until this point right here, and then go ahead and select this one right here, copy it, and then go all the way here, and then say replace it with this value right here. So good. So once we have it done, let's scroll down to see if there are any other problems. No, we have most of them fixed. Okay, so this can be a bit tedious to do at times, but I did this manually because there's not a lot of columns we have to deal with initially anyway. So I'm going to delete all the extra columns that I don't need. So the last one is going to be MSRP, which is just manufacturer suggested retail price for the sales of vehicle. Again, if you don't know about this data set, I have a whole analysis on this data set on my introduction to MySQL series, so you can check that out. Okay, so once I have that, I'm going to select all these other columns, and I'm just going to go ahead and delete them. So right click and then say remove. Okay, so now you can see now our data is much cleaner. So once you can see it looks much cleaner, and then you can select all of them again just to replace the null values with not available. Okay, so this way in here there are no distinct, there are no duplicates. Okay, so we are fine to go. So once we have that done, we're just going to go ahead and simply say looks like I haven't selected this column, and you're going to go ahead and simply replace some values. You're going to replace null with not available. Okay, so It's okay. So once we have that done, our data is now clean and ready to go. So our data now has been clean and ready to go. So let's go down here and let's make sure we change this to type to be text. Okay, so it's already text, so that's good, text. And let's go back in here. Let's also this one is also text. Good. So go back into payments and this also text, right? So this one is also text, text, and text. So good, we are good to go. So we have everything as we need to have. So basically we are basically done with the data cleaning at this point. Okay, so we can also go ahead and into the products right here, and if I'm going to go ahead and scroll all the way this way, the MSRP is not going to be text, right? It's going to be MSRP is just manufacturer suggested retail price, right? So we can change this to be decimal because it's monetary value. This also can be monetary value. Quantity in stock is just going to be a whole number, right? We can't have 5.2 of a car. We have only 1 or 0, right? You can't have a decimal of a car, right? Also, all this needs to be whole numbers. Okay, so that's basically that data cleaning right there. So once you have done the data cleaning right here, I think that you can do more data cleaning if you want to, but I just want to keep things a bit simple. So the data is mostly clean, and you have clean all the major issues that we have. Okay, so there might be some tiny issues right there, but it won't really affect the analysis you're going to do. Okay, in this case, so once we have that done, we are going to go ahead and begin to go into data modeling. So let's go ahead, actually go ahead and go to home, and then click on this right here, close and load, and just click close and load. Okay, actually made an error right there, so let me just say got it. Okay, so what I want to do is right here, I'm just going to go ahead and delete all this because we don't need all this. So I'm just going to go ahead and go into, let's see, let me just go ahead and delete all this. I don't need all this, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete it. I actually made an error right there, selecting the wrong information. So I selected the wrong option, so let me just go ahead and delete all this. So delete and then delete all this. I don't need it, so delete it. Okay, delete all this as well, so just delete all this. This as well. Okay, so I don't need all that. So once I have this done, I can just go ahead and click on this and then go to edit mode again. So once I'm in edit mode, I'll go back and see all this data right here that we have cleaned. Okay, so nothing has been messed up so far, everything is fine. So just go ahead, click on this, and just say click and load. Yeah, so once all that is deleted, what I'm going to do is just simply, I don't want to create all this. I actually click on the wrong option. What I want to do is just select this and then say load to, and then say load to or create only connection, and then simply add this to a data model, and then say okay, and do this for all the other ones. Okay, so select all this, and then say, you can right click on it and then select all this. Okay, just press the connect and then click on it, and then simply say you can say load to. You don't have the load option, you have to do this individually manually. So go to load to, and then say load to this, and then load on create only connection, and then say add to data model, and do the same to this one as well. So load to, that's what I made an error when I was exporting the files. Okay, so sorry for that error. So once I have this, I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to go ahead and simply load them too. Okay, so there's a better way of doing this, but I'll show you this in a way. I made an error right there, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this the manual way. Okay, so go this way and then say create a connection, load into add to data model, and then the same thing right here. So load to add to data model and press OK. Okay, so load to and add data model and then press OK. Okay, so good. So once we have right there, I can then click on this one and go to edit mode. So what initially I wanted to do to avoid us having to do that manual work is simply go in here and just click on close and load to. And if you click on close and load to, it's going to bring you this option right here. So let me just go ahead. It's going to bring you an option that is very similar to this one. So basically just say create only connection and then simply add to data model. That's all you had to do. So I actually made an error right there. That's why we got that issue. But basically we have everything fixed in here. So now let's go into our data modeling part. So let's look at what we need to have next. So we have looked at the data cleaning, how we can clean that data, right? We have looked at how you can clean the data. Now we are going into data modeling. We have loaded the data, we have done some basic data cleaning. Now we're going into data modeling, right? So let's go ahead and jump into it. So let me just go back in here, and to go into data modeling, what you have to go in here, you need to have this Power Pivot tab on your Microsoft Excel, if you don't have this power pivot option, what you can simply do is go into files, go into options, and the options go into add-ons, and then the add-ons come into the drop downs, and then simply say com add-ons. Click on that and then click on go, and make sure you have all this enabled. Okay, so this will add all the power pivot into you, and just say once you have all these check boxes ticked, just click on OK, and this option should appear right here. Okay, so then this is how you can add on different options right here. Okay, so you can even look, we have many other options for add-ons, and then you can have the other options right here. Okay, but basically this is what you need to get the power pivot icon appearing. If it doesn't appear, try to something doesn't appear, gives you an error, so just close your Microsoft Excel and then reset it again. Once you reset again, you should see the power pivot option. So click on the power pivot option, go into manage, manage, and this should open up this window right here, power pivot for Excel. So this is just power pivot for Excel. So once you have the power pivot for Excel created, go into data view. So you have data view, which is this right here. What you're on is data view, and you can see the different tables that we have at the bottom right here. Okay, so what I'm interested in is the diagram view. So click on the diagram view, and this is going to show you this view right here. So you might be wondering, okay, what are all this? Okay, so if you go back to the, let's take, for example, let's look at the customer, right? So you have the customer, we have all this information. So what's all this information? Well, these are just columns from the customer table that we have. So if you go back in data view and click on customer table, you can see these are the options that we have, the different columns that we have. So in data view, diagram view, it's just putting them in a much more, it's more like an ERD diagram, right? So it's something very similar to that. So it's more in an ERD diagram kind of way. So once you have that done, I'm just going to move everything and align everything. And if you know what ERD is, you can check out my video on ERD diagrams and MySQL. I have all that explained in there. Okay, so we have this right here. So I'm just going to arrange these tables in a way that is easier for us to work with. So make the tables to show all the rows, and then make it cleaner so that it can be easier to analyze. Okay, then the other tables. Okay, products is right here. Okay, so I want to arrange this. I don't need this right here. This table I don't really need it, so you can keep it on the side there. Okay, so let me just arrange these ones in here. Okay, so what I kept on the side in here is just the data sets, which basically just has a data set. Okay, the original data set that these ones are referring to. That's basically it. So this is the information that we have. So I'm just going to arrange this in a way that we can easily create our data model. So we're going to have the payment information. You're going to have the product in there. So the payments, the products. We're also going to have the product details. I might not keep the product details right here. Okay, just for understandability. Let's say you can put the product line in here. I'm just going to show you just in a second why is it that I'm doing this. Okay, so don't worry about that. I will explain to you why I'm putting this arrangement. Okay, so it even makes sense to you when you see why, when you begin to model this, you actually see why I kept it this way. So we have all that information right there. Okay, so we are good to go, and let's see what else we need. Yeah, that's all we need for now. So let's just arrange all that in the right proper way. So let's begin to create now our data model. So creating our data model, just creating connection between these existing tables. That's basically what a data model is. Okay, so I hope now you guys can see all this clearly. I'm not on a big screen because I know most of you also have small screens, so we can all of us follow along without me having kind of a different view. Okay, so once we have it done, let's go ahead and create a connection. So if you look into this table, just connect the common columns, right? Because one of the advantages of having a good database design is using the same column names throughout all tables that stores the same information. For example, customer number is customer number here, is customer number here, is customer number here as well. So that's easy. So let's look for the tables that have the same name and then connect them. So customer name will be connected to customer name. So this is basically creating a relation between the two tables. So that's basically what this is doing. So order number, let's see, product code, you can connect to the product code from this table. So that's basically what the data modeling is all about. Okay, so even here we have product line, connect the product line from in here so that you can create a connection between all these tables. Okay, it's that simple when using Microsoft Power Query. So Power Query is really, really powerful because of features like this. Okay, so let's move this one up here a bit. Okay, good. And then in here we also have, what else we have? Okay, in here, let's see, we have customer number in here, and you have customer number. So drag and drop here. Okay, good. That's good to go. That's all the connections we need to create. So that's basically it. So once I have this done, that's all we need to have done. Okay, in fact, yeah, that's all we need to do. And let's see if there are any other things that we need to do. But no, that's all we need to do. So that's basically creating a data model. So now you have a data model created. Now we have this data model created. We can begin to use it. For now, let's make sure that let's go ahead and click on save. So make sure you click on save right here to save this. Okay. So this data model just enable us to have connection between our different tables. Just like we have connection in MySQL, like primary keys, foreign keys, is something very similar to this, but this one is much easier to do. As you can see from just by using a visual way of doing it, you can just drag and drop stuff just to get things done. So once you have this done, you are good to go. So make sure that you have it saved and simply close this Power Pivot for Excel. So close that one. And basically, if you're using Power Pivot, for some reason, it turns off your autosave. So make sure you have your autosave back on, just in case, so that every of your file is saved along the way. So that in case you forgot to save, you don't lose information. So once we have that done, let's go on to now adding some different columns to our database, work our existing data, and doing some data cleaning. So what we want to do is finally we are in here. So we are in Power Pivot. So this is the home screen. Now click on Power Pivot. Go on to Manage. Now you're in here in Manage. Go into a customer details table. Instead of here, you're going to go ahead and add a new column. Okay. So if you go into the customer detail, the order details table rather, not the customer details. So the order details table, this is the order details table right here. So the price each, the order number, the quantity order, the product code, the customer number, the order number basically. So this is the order details. What we're going to go ahead and do in here, basically let me just see, is it orders table? Let's see, we have orders table right here. Yeah, so let's begin with the orders table actually. So in the orders table, we want to add a couple of columns. So I want to add a couple of column that is going to show, you see we have the required date when it's required, and then the ship date. So we want to create another column to show whether it has been delivered on time or it has been delayed. Okay, so I want to create another column to show that information right here. So to do this, what I can simply go ahead and do is we can actually add create another column right here. So you can go into let's see how we can add this column. There are different ways you can add this column if you want to. There's another way of doing this, and you can use the other approach of doing this instead. So as I said, there are different ways of doing this. So we can also do it in here, or we can do it in Power Query. So I want to use Power Query for this. I'm just going to go ahead and simply close this up. So close this up, and then go in here, just click on any of the tables, any of the connections we have, and then click on Edit. Okay. So right click on edit, and it will bring you back in here. So once you're in here, you can go into the orders table right here, into the orders table. And the orders table, you can go ahead and actually create new columns right in. How do you add a new column? If you go up here, you can see we have the, if you go to the navigation bar right here, you can see we have the add column section. So you can go ahead in here and simply add different columns as you want to. So in here, I want to go ahead and click on custom column. And this column, I'm going to go ahead and simply call it, make sure you have the orders table selected. You're going to call this order, you're going to call this one delay status. Okay, so that's the name of delay status, and this is the name of we're going to call it. So we're going to use a formula right here. We're going to say, let's say it's going to be duration dot days, and then finally go ahead and pass in some parentheses right here. So the formula you're writing here is called, using something M language. So M language. So it just enable us to write some kind of like code stuff in here, right? So, but coding, but for not that complicated stuff. Okay. So what I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to say I'm going to get the required date. So we're going to get the required date. We're going to find a difference between the required date and the shipment date. This will be able to tell us whether we have delivered on time or we have delayed delivery. So that's basically it. I'm going to call this one. Let me just call it not delivery starter. We're going to call it ship. Let me just maybe call this lowercase. So let me ship difference, shipment difference, different date different, or something like that. Shipment day. Okay, say shipment day difference, just like that. So shipment day difference, the difference between the day of shipment. So you can see we have no syntax error right here. So just find the difference between the required date and the ship date. This will tell us if there was a delay or no delay in the delivery. So just press OK. Now you're supposed to see another columns right here. So you're getting an error right here. I don't know what's the cause of the error. Let's try to investigate it. Let's see. So I can actually just expand this down, and you can see that right here. So replace null values, added new column. So add a new column is saying required date required date minus the shipment date. That's basically the formula that we want. We seem to be getting an error right here. So let's go ahead and fix that error. Okay, I think I know what the cause of this error is. So if you look here in our data clean, we forgot a step, a very crucial step. So you can see these are actually date types and not text types. So make sure you change these types to become date. Okay, and you're going to get an error while trying to do this. Okay, so let's go ahead and change this to be date. Okay, so you can see we have an error right here. So I don't want that error. So what do we need to do? Because the reason why we are getting that error, let's go ahead and expand this. And let's see if you have any null values in here. So you have null values which you have added not available. So what you want to do is just replace this with just any random value. Okay, so or you can decide to drop this if you want. But I'm just going to select any random value date and replace it with. Okay, so I'm just going to select okay. And I'm just going to remove this single filter. I'm not filtering any information. So I'm just going to copy this random date. Okay, so because it's just few records that have information. Okay. So I'm going to select that, and I'm going to go ahead and filter. Let's go ahead and say click on this one. Click on replace values, and I'm going to replace not available. Not available. We just run any random date, because the reason I'm doing this because not much of values in here actually null, because I've checked that. So not much of values are actually null in here. That's what I'm doing. That specific replacing with just any random date. Okay, so that won't affect most of our data. So also here, make sure we change this to be date data. Also change this to be date, no error. Change this also to be date, no errors. So good. So once we have that done, let's go back into this column and let's go in here. Let's go actually just drop this column. So I'm going to go ahead and simply drop this column. So select this and then just drop this column, and we'll recreate this column once more. So let's go ahead and say drop. So remove. Okay. So once you have it removed there, we have everything now fixed. So let's go ahead and add a new column again. So go into custom column. We're going to call it shipment day difference. So shipment day difference. Okay, so shipment day difference. And you're going to go in and say duration dot days, and you're going to go ahead and select the required. This is going to be a variables required column, right? Minus the shipped column, so shipped date column. So click on that and then close off that parenthesis. So we have no error in here. So let's go ahead and simply click on apply. So good. Now you can see we have no errors in there. So just sorry for that. We need to clean our we needed to clean our data. Basically change this one to become date before doing that operation, so that you can know that it's actually a date and not just a text column. So that's basically what you have done in here, and you have that data clean. Okay. Okay, so once we have that data cleaned, we are good to go. So now you have generated a difference day, right? So you can know. So anything that is lesser than 0 means that there's a difference. It has been delayed because the required date seems to be less than the difference date. So that means it's a negative. If anything that is negative shows that there has been a delay. So let's go ahead and actually add another column to depict that information. We're going to go ahead and add now a conditional column. So basically click on this. You're going to go in here. We're going to select the column which is going to be called day difference. If it's less than 0, then you're going to say that is a negative number. So you're going to say delayed. Okay, so delayed, and then you can add another clause here. Else, if the shipment date is greater than or equal to 0, then you're going to say not delayed. That's basically it. So if the difference in the ship date and the requirement date is a negative value, means it's less than 0, then you're going to refer to it as delayed. Also, you're going to refer to it as not delayed. So once I have that done, I'm going to press OK. So you can see we have that column generated right here. So you can see most of the things are not delayed. Only some of them are delayed. So you can see right here, this one is a negative 56, so delayed by 56 days. So it's a delayed, okay, delayed shipment. Okay, so now we have that delayed shipment done. Basically, that's it. All we need to do. Let's go ahead and simply go. What I want to do is you can simply go ahead and make sure that you go in here and just simply say load and close. Okay, close and load. So once we have that done, we are good to go. So we have generated all that information as we wanted. So good. So one just want to also you can also go ahead and add in some other information about inside of our tables. So let's go ahead, click on manage. And instead of manage, just go ahead and go into the orders details table. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and go into the orders details table, which is this one right here. And in here you can add other columns that you want. So I showed you how to add columns in Power Query. Now we're in Power Pivot for Excel, and I'm going to show you how to add columns using Power Pivot Excel. Okay, so the first column we're going to go ahead and add is the date column. So the date column is just going to depict the date on which the given supply was made. So how do we get the date information? The date information is not in here. So if you go into orders table, that's when you can see the dates in which this required date and shipment date and then order date. So from this order date, right, you can get the day, the year of the on which the order was made. So we can get that year. And how do we go ahead and put it inside of our order details table, right? Now, the reason why we can do that is because of these views. We have these connections created between our tables. So Excel or Power Pivot for Excel can use this in the background, these connections, to be able to connect, relate our different data. So basically, you're going to relate different each using the diagrams, the data model that we have. We're able to create a relation between the different tables. So we're going to take advantage of these relationships to pull the information, the requirement date, the order date from the orders table into the order details table, right? So because each order is placed on a specific day, and a record about that order, which is the order details, is stored in the order details table. So we want to get the year information from the orders table into our order details table. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to go ahead and simply add another column, right? I'm going to call this one, I'm going to call it year. So year, and then simply press enter. So how do we get the year information? So to get the year information, I can just go here and say I'm using a formula right here called related. Related help us to pull information from other tables. So related, and I'm going to get this is going to be the orders table. So this is going to be orders, and then order, we're going to get the order date. So this is order date, basically the order date, and that's basically it. And the order date, and you can filter the year information out of it. But you can, for now, you're just going to leave it as this specific information. Okay, we're just going to leave it as the year. Just press enter. Okay, so now if I press enter, now you can see we have all that information now being pulled out. So each order has its dates or the year. So from this, you can actually just pull out the year information if you want. But don't worry, just leave it as this. We'll come back to it just in a second. Okay, so once I have this done, I'm also going to go ahead and generate the customer details. I want the customer name in here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and simply say I can pull that information out if I want. I can go into related. It's going to be order details customer. So I can say equals. I can actually add it in here. I can call it customer. So customer, I can just go into the customers table. So let's wait for this to load. So go into the customers table, and let's see how we can get the customer name. So we can get the customer name right here. So we can get the customer name. Okay, so that's how we can pull out that customer name if you want to. So let's go ahead and actually pull that customer name into our order details table. So let's going to be customer name is going to be equals to related. Going to be related, and you're going to say customer. This is going to be customer, and we want the customer name. I think it's customer name. So customer name, and then press enter. So that's all we need to do. Close out this parenthesis and press enter. So that's going to go ahead and pull out the customer name and bring it in here. So give it a bit of time for this to load. Okay, so now that we have the customer name in there, another information I want to do is to get the order date. You have the order date already done. So yeah, that's the order date, and instead of actually saying year, we can call this one order date instead of year. So let's say order date. That's more better. So order date, and just save that case. Once we have that done, I also want to go ahead and add in the order month, the month on which the order was made. How do we get that information? Well, quite easy. So I'm just going to go in here and just call it order month. Okay, so we use all this when generating our query, so you can see which month has the most sales and all that information. So don't worry, for now, just follow along. We'll generate all this, and I'll show you why we generated all this as we go along. So when you say related, and this is going to be actually I just want to get the month, not related, because we already have the order date right here. So I'm just going to get the month out of this order date. So I'm going to simply say it's a function in here called month, and I'm going to say order date. So we're going to get the month of the order date. So just like that, in place of this. So make sure you have the parentheses around the column names, and just press enter. Okay, so we have all that being generated and information being pulled in there. So good. So once we have all that done, we are good to go. So we can also go ahead and generate another column, and this column is going to be called the financial quarter. So we're going to use this information to get information about the financial quarter, this about the payment date. So one thing you can notice, I think that the order month actually is wrong. So if you look in here, you're getting the month from this order date detail, order date column. But you can see something is wrong, right? So this is using this part of the date 6 as a month, and then in here, if it's more than 12, it's using the other one as the month. So this is wrong. If you're using this one, then you should use only this one right there. So this is actually the month, right? The month column, and then the month column. So this actually is wrong. So how do you change this formatting? So let's go ahead and see how we can change this formatting, because this actually is wrong, right? Because it's sometimes using this and then sometimes using this. Sometimes using the day and then sometimes using the month. So that's actually this is month 1, month 2, month 3. But this month 1, month 2, month 3, and like that. So it's actually wrong on this side. So let's go ahead and actually fix that information. So to fix this error, what you simply have to do is, let me just save this for now, and then after I save it, I'm just going to close this up, and I'm going to go back into our Power Query editor. And once I'm in my Power Query editor, I'm going to go into orders, and once I'm in orders right here, okay. So one thing I quickly noticed is the order date. Just we're having an issue, right? The order date is not type of text. So let's change it back to type of text. So let's go ahead and say, sorry, not type of text, of date, type date instead. So date instead, once you change it to date, and you can go ahead, if you want to even do more that change or further change, you can go into use local, and then from there you can select the custom date format that you want. So this is going to be of type date, and then finally you can select the date format that you want. I'm just going to keep it to be English United States, United Kingdom. So that's the formatting my computer uses. So I'm just going to keep it to United Kingdom. So United Kingdom, and then press OK. So that's done, and once it's done, I'm just going to go ahead and say close and apply, close and load. And once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and wait for this to load. Once it's loaded, I'm going to go into back into manage, and yeah, now you can see now that error is fixed. So these are all first months, and then second month, and then third month, and all that. So yeah, so that was an issue, that the order date column was not type of date, it was type of text. So the computer was confused on which one to, which of the categories to use for the date or for the month. So once we have that done, we are good to go. So what I want to do, I also want to add a quarter information right here. So I'm going to call it, this is going to be financial underscore quarter. Like I want to get the quarter information. You can prepare a report based on quarter, like the financial quarter, the first quarter of the year, the second quarter of the year, and stuff like that. So how do you do such information? So let me just go ahead and save this for now. Once I have this saved, I'm going to go ahead and close this, and I'm back into Excel right here. So I'm going to have first month, second, third, fourth, like that. So or you can just use an Excel range formula to create this. Okay, so that's it, one way of doing it. But I'm just going to quickly go ahead and type this out. Okay, so what we're going to go ahead and do, we're going to take this one and divide it by 3. Right, so let's go ahead and say, okay, we're going to take this divided by 3, and press enter. So if you just go ahead and apply all this to all these other formulas, to all these other tables, now you can see right here. So this is the first quarter. So you're just going to round this off, right? You're going to round it up to to get the nearest. So if it's 0.3, you're going to round it off, right? You're not going to write it up. You're not going to round it up. You're going to round it off to the nearest integer. So you're just going to take, you're going to inside this, I'm going to press OK, get this, and then say round off, round up function. You can use that function right there. You're going to round up this, okay, and then close off that. So press enter. You have entered argument, okay, right there, and then press enter. So okay, you have to specify the number of decimal places that you want. So I don't want any number of decimal places. I'm going to leave that to be 0. So press enter. So you can see it's 1. So select all that and then apply to all the other forms. So good. So now you can see this is January, February, March. They're all quarter 1. And then the January, February, March, April, May, June. They're all quarter 2. And then finally we have quarter 3. And then finally we have quarter 4. So that's the way you can use to generate quarter information. So now that we have this done, let's go ahead and use it instead of manage. So if I go back in manage, and in here, I'm going to go ahead and use that formula right here. So I'm going to go ahead and use, I'm going to say round. Okay, so I'm going to say round, round up. Okay, this function right here. What are you going to round up? You're going to go ahead and round up this column, which is going to be called the order month. So get the order month, round up the order month, because it has the months, right? So go into the month, so press enter right there. And then you have to specify how many number of digits you want. You want 0, right? So after that, you want to go ahead and simply close this off. Okay, so that's all you want done, and simply once actually this divided by 3 before you round it off, or divided by 3, and then finally round it off. So press enter. So now this is going to generate us for us some values right here, showing the different quarters. So you can see all these are from here. These are all quarter 1, and then from here we have quarter 2, and when it's 4, and then from here you have quarter 3, and it's 7, and all. Okay. So that's basically how you can generate the quarter information. So what I want to see, what I want to do here is simply add Q in front of it to indicate the like Q and then 1, so quarter 1. So to do that, I'm simply going to go ahead and add in here some codes, and then simply say Q, and then sorry, this is going to be uppercase Q, so I'm going to keep uppercase Qs, and then put the end symbol right here. So the end symbol is just going to concatenate the Q and the round of basically concatenate Q to this value that we have in here. So press enter. So that's basically it. So you have quarter 1, quarter 2, and you have quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4, and all that. Okay, so that's how you can generate the quarter information from this. Once you have that done, make sure you save this. Wait for this to save. And once this is saved, you can just go ahead and exit out of this. So exit out. So close this to exit out. So that's all we have covered in this tutorial. So in this tutorial, we have gone over basics of data analysis in Excel. We have loaded the data. We have done some data cleaning. We have done data modeling, how to generate also feature columns, generating new information from existing information. So that's all I wanted us to do in this video. So in the next video, we're going to go ahead and start generating our first generating profit information using pivot tables and other stuff like that. So guys, thanks for watching, and if you like this tutorial so far, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you hit the notification bell so you can stay updated for all other videos I'm going to upload in this series. Okay, so if you haven't yet subscribed, one easy way you can simply help the channel is just by subscribing. If you want to help me furthermore, you can buy me coffee. The link is going to be in the description of the video below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. Keep safe.